All right, welcome back, guys. Hey, it's a Thursday night, 8 p.m. And what can I say? Tonight we have a special guest. His name is Edwin Frondanzo. And we had him on the show in YouTube, and he is in the Spotify podcast. If you haven't heard that episode where I interview him and I ask him questions and I pick his brain, and I did learn a lot personally, you should check that out. Go over to Spotify and search Edwin Frondazo, and you will be able to find his episode with me on the Leadership Stack podcast. If you want to check out the show notes, links to his LinkedIn, the Facebook website, he's the CEO and co-founder of Slingshot VoIP, and he's all the way from the other side of the world. It's actually morning in his side of the world right now, and I really appreciate him being here today. Without further ado, Edwin, welcome to the show.
Sean, good to see you. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon.
It's good evening here, and it's good morning to you there. And I'm sure you smell like coffee right now. And you ready?
Yes, yeah. I had my coffee. Daughter's having her breakfast. So things are doing good.
Perfect, perfect. Okay. We have a couple of questions now. The first one, so I could see. Hey, Peter, are you here? Need your help with the questions being flashed here. If you are tuned in, otherwise, we'll go ahead and answer some right now. Oh, there you go. All right. So the first question is, what are the advantages of management softwares, and which ones would you recommend? All right, this is a pretty techie question that to kick off the night. Um, yeah, I have a lot of management software that I'm using for project management, and we tried a couple, especially during the pandemic. But I want to hear from you, Edwin. What do you guys use over there?
Yeah, I mean, on the sales side, just real quickly, we use Salesforce primarily just because of how integrated it is, the reporting features, the ability to do your forecasting, understand the lead qualities. It's not an easy feat. I don't understand fully how to do that, but that's what we use on the sales side. But when it comes to operations, something that we moved to build more of a custom one is we are utilizing Airtables to build our custom onboarding customer success project management. Before that, we were using it was a number of tools that we were using, just basic Trello even. But what we found
Love
is,
Trello.
yeah, but what we found, Sean, once you start onboarding multiple clients a day, Trello gets really confusing because there's no database attached to it, right? I mean, you could start building the rules, you could start doing that. And then we started going along the journey of looking for project management specific software, right? Like looking at Hello and no Monday and all that type of stuff, which ended up being thanks.
Oh, there she
Go
is.
go get your um she knows I'm recording, so she had to come.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
she
Kids do
does.
that. My son does that all the time.
Yeah. Sean, my daughter's like, how come Sean has lots of toys?
Yeah, my sons have dibs on them. When I pass
Yeah.
away, they're gonna get it. That's what they
Amazing.
said.
Yeah, so my point is that we started looking at all the different project management, all the agile software, but everything ends up being customizable in the sense that you want to map it to your process first. She wants attention.
Yeah. All right. You
100%.
want me to? You want
Yeah,
me to
no
take? Yeah.
worries. She knows what to do. She just wants to be on camera.
Yeah.
Um,
Awesome.
she yeah, so when I talk to a lot of new entrepreneurs, they start looking for solutions to help them, right? But I ask them, and you probably know this too, Sean, is like, what are your processes? Build out your processes first, and then map out the software that you need. Because it'll be difficult. It's easy. There's a million softwares out there, and they all look great. They all know their marketing message, and you get shiny object syndrome. So you got to look internally first, just like personal development. You got to look internally in the business and understand what helps you, and what's your end goal for each process. And then you can map out and find the solution. All of them will work. It's just whatever you want and fits into your business operations.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I mean, with SEO Hacker, some of the tools that you mentioned earlier, except for Salesforce, we've gone through them. I mean, when you're a startup, growing your business, Trello, Airtable, those are fantastic tools. You can use them for free. Right now, Monday.com, that's one software that we're trying to explore. We're not yet fully integrated. We haven't paid for it yet, but we're exploring that one in terms of project management as well as CRM because they have like a template for it. If you're serious about your sales CRM pipeline, everything, there's so many sales software out there. Salesforce could be, at the top of the list, but it's also one of the most expensive ones. I've tried Pipedrive. I love Pipedrive. It's just that with the client onboarding, it it has some things to be desired. So when you finish off a closed deal, and you move a client to onboarding and all the way to your operations, it's just disconnected. So that's where the problem ensues when it comes to Pipedrive. Unlike with Salesforce, you got everything in one ecosystem. So with I completely agree with what Edwin mentioned. First, look at your processes, look at your team, what are they used to, what's going to make them more efficient, and then shop around for softwares. The more integrations there are, the better. It's always that way. The more integrations a software has, the better the software, often the more costly as well. But you have to just, it's all basic numbers, it's all basic math. It boils down to that. If it's saving your team like 100 hours a week, and you do the math, what are you paying for in terms of 100 hours a week, and you're going to be able to save that in terms of software. So no matter how expensive that software is, if at the end bottom line you're saving a lot more money because your team's a lot more efficient, then it's worth the cost. Otherwise, if you're just gonna shop around for software like a kid in a candy store, then it's not gonna work for you. So hope that helps. One of the softwares that I do highly recommend with work from home, and we integrated it in our management process, is Hubstaff. So Hubstaff for us is super important. I cannot recommend it enough. Dave Navat is a good acquaintance of mine. I've written about Hubstaff in my book, CEO at 22, over there with the floating Iron Man. So I wrote about how we integrated that in our processes, and we use that to measure a lot of things. And it has been a blessing for me and my team. So hope that helps. Joanne says hello, good afternoon and evening. Joanne, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate you being here. And the next question is from Pam. What are important things to consider if you are planning to start your own tech business? There we go. All right. Edwin looks a bit quiet now there.
Yeah, no, I'm quick on the switch here. Um, I mean, that's a great question, Pam. I mean, I would have. I mean, that's a whole can of worms. I would be asking you, Pam, like, what's the tech
Yeah.
business? What are you a tech founder? Are you looking to partner with a tech founder? I guess depending on those answers, understanding where you're fitting this technology in. Do you know what the pain points are? How did you find those pain points? Where were you connecting with? At the end of the day, whether it's tech business, a service business, you got to know that there's a need for it and you're filling a gap, right? Because all of us have a billion ideas, and whether it's technology or service or whatnot, we got to make sure that it works well. The challenge, if you're not tech, is finding a partner or someone to help you develop your MVP. Having said that, there are tools now, which I'm really excited about. I would just finish talking to a friend of mine who's not a tech founder yesterday, is if you want to build out an MVP, you don't need to know code anymore. There are platforms like bubble.io. If you are a product developer, a product owner, a solutions specialist, look at bubble.io. You could build out an MVP without writing code. And then you could prove out your MVP a lot quicker and almost at $0 than traditionally, where you'd have to build out the software, find a founder. It takes 3 years, 4 years later. and then you try to find it out. But I would recommend building out your MVP real quickly. The one simple feature that you want, you could use a platform like bubble.io and really get the confidence that what you're going to build or sell has a need or a niche in the marketplace.
Really good stuff. I can't like Edwin. It has to boil down to what kind of tech business you are planning to start. It's hard to answer this question with just an open-ended, vague um, uh, assumption that is any tech business, because there's just so much tech businesses that you could start today, so many problems you could solve. Before I move on to answering that, we have Jan Trebaul, and he asks, "What's Hubstaff?" It is a time tracking software that let me just share that very quickly here. It's a time tracking software that helps you as the business owner or as the project manager or the operations manager maybe to track what your people are doing. It takes 3 screenshots within 10 minutes, so that's like 10 whole minutes, and it's just 3 screenshots. It's not invasive, which I love about it. Unlike other time tracking tools, would take screenshots every like, I don't know, like 30 seconds, one screenshot, right? So this one is not invasive, but it tracks the URL, like how much time you're spending per URL. So it could be Facebook, Instagram, or it should be like work stuff, right? So you could track what people are doing exactly. Keeps the team more accountable. Everyone in the team uses it. It's great, and we've been using it since, I don't know, like 7 years ago, I think. So it's a big part of our operations. You might want to check it out. And the support is also very, very good. And he says, I'm personally big on ClickUp. They're running a lot of YouTube ads right now. I see them. They're a project management software, and they're also free. That's one of the big marketing pushes that they're doing. I have personally haven't tried ClickUp, but yeah, it's pretty new. Better than Time Doctor. Yeah, in my opinion, it's better than Time Doctor. So go check it out. Going back to tech startup, it's going to have to be number one. Can you be the best in something in that tech startup that you're gonna try to get into? So for example, if you're going to go ahead and start a sales software like something like Salesforce or Pipedrive, there are a lot of features that all of these sales softwares are trying to hit, like what I mentioned about Pipedrive earlier. There's a lot to be desired when you close the deal and you're trying to onboard the client. There's a lot to be desired there. So they're really good in the entire process right before the client onboarding, like the sales funnel, everything, the integrations with other apps. They're really good at that. So what is going to be your number one shot or number one feature if you want to try and go head to head with these other startups? Because it is a global business. When you start a tech startup, if it's a software as a service business, it is on a global scale and platform, and you're going to have to compete on a global scale. And competing globally is very, very tough. A lot of players don't play fair. They don't play nice. I've had the experience of starting a SaaS business, Queries. It's still up, it's still running, we still use it, and we a lot of our clients use it as well. And my experience in running that, there's just so many dirty players that you're gonna have to go up against. And I'm sure, Edwin, you've experienced your fair share of that with Slingshot VoIP. So though that's something that I would strongly consider. Like, what can it be the best at, right? So, ClickUp was mentioned earlier, and right now they're pushing that they're free. They're like the one-stop shop and free. I'm sure that when you delve into it, there's some things that you're gonna be discovering that, oh, it's not great at this, oh, it's not so great at that, and I'm used to having this feature. I'm used to having. We need that feature in our team because our team does things this way. So it's going to be the product market fit that you wanna figure out. Like, who's your target market? Are they startups? Are they scale ups? Or are they the big enterprise level? And will these features fit very well with them? So there's so many factors. We could go on and on. Edwin mentioned it's a can of worms that you're going to be opening. Yeah, that's true. So qualifying the question further would help a lot. If you're still on Discord, you might want to qualify it further so we can help you out better. But Otherwise, for me, it's gonna be like, what's that one thing you can be the best at when you're starting your tech startup? Okay, we have SaaS is pure insanity right now. Too many. Yeah, I agree. It's pretty insane market.
I mean,
And
I'll just say to Yan in terms of pure insanity. People telling me, "Oh, Ed, when you're in the telecommunications business, that's super competitive." I'll say, "Well, how many graphic designers do you know?"
yeah,
Like, it's funny because people will already disqualify going into SaaS business because it seems scary or seems like there's many, but they won't question people who become a graphic designer or a web designer. Like anyway, like
true that.
just
Yeah,
because it's easy to get to. That's actually even more, the market is actually more saturated there. And then how do you distinguish yourself as a web designer now, or a web developer, or a graphic designer, or a VA? I know I'm talking to many people in the Philippines. I'm Filipino too, so
yeah,
I know a lot of people in that market, right? So
yeah,
it's just my point to Yan, right? Yeah, it is, but it's recurring revenue, right? You know,
yeah,
you don't, maybe you don't need to always look for a customer. Maybe all you need is 100 customers, and you build a lifestyle business like that. I know Time Doctor started like that. I interviewed the founder of Time Doctor. He's from Canada, um, so it's just something to think about when you make statements like that.
yeah, 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 for sure. I mean, when you see it that way, there's just so many like digital marketing businesses. Even there's just so many today. And yeah, SaaS business, even if it's even if people say there's so many, it's still a very very good business because it's recurring revenue. And a lot of people, when they like you, they stay for a long time. Okay, from LJ, what are the challenges you faced when starting up your tech company? So this is something that Edwin was able to share in the podcast on YouTube and Spotify. But I'm gonna go ahead and pass this question over to you, Edwin, still, because that is a very interesting story.
What? Yeah, and I don't remember what I shared fully, but when a lot of the challenges, like any entrepreneur, is the ability to do many things. So it all depends if you're coming with a large team, but most entrepreneurs, most tech founders, they're doing many things. They're not only building out their stack or their tech stack, their MVP, but they also need to find customers. Like we built our business on paying customers. We bootstrapped it, right? So our the biggest challenge I found was finding that balance of finding new customers, delivering a product, a superior product, and doing the upkeep and the maintenance. Yes, and do it fast. Um, and I mean, so the challenges that I'm saying is finding that rhythm, right? And that balance. But if you want to grow and scale, you got to exit yourself from these different positions. And this is something Sean talks about a lot in terms of, and I know we talked about, firing, getting in, how to grow. I'm remembering our conversation now. But ultimately, it's finding that rhythm and then carving out the time to build out the system, so when you hire someone, they're not just there waiting for you to tell them what to do, that there's a system and a process for them to follow. Otherwise they're just sitting there twiddling their thumbs. So I would say the biggest challenge, now that I said that out loud, LJ, is doing the work when it happens. When I say doing the work, is write out the processes right away. Like, okay, I close a deal, this is what I have to do next. I got to send an onboarding email. Oh, here's the template, and then I got to do this. I got to log into this system, so they're into there, or what if it's all integrated already. But write down that process right away. I've seen entrepreneurs not have a process after running their business 10 years, and they're wondering why it's difficult to hire people. um, because the people come and go. Edwin, I don't know why I can't keep people. And I says, well, do you have a specific job role, or do you have the process for them? What are they doing when you hire them? You can't just hire them and let them sit there. They get very quickly unmotivated. If you're not empowering these people, then they don't feel worthy or not motivated to work. They're already
Yeah,
looking. So
for
that's my
sure.
biggest challenge is probably on the scale, understanding process and systems. It's easy to, especially today, Sean. There are so many tools out there. Like I said, like Bubble, you could resell a tech stack and just white
Yeah,
label it, and you could
yeah,
sell right away. But the problem is scaling the sales, scaling
yeah.
the customer support, and scaling the billing, and doing all those type of stuff.
Yeah,
What do you
that
think there,
I
Sean? Yeah.
resonate 100%. I mean, one of the main reasons why, like you said, a lot of entrepreneurs don't invest in those systems and processes is the most common reason that I hear, and they tell me, Sean, you talk about processes and process documents and stuff, but I'm trying to survive here. I'm trying to make ends meet. I'm trying to make sure that I got more revenue than expenses, and that is that is true 100%, but that is also something that you're going to want to do as you scale. Otherwise you're building the company in a linear way, linear and the problem is when you lose someone key while you're building it in a linear way, your line suddenly goes flat or goes down because you lose a key person. But if you have your process documents to back you up, when you hire, it's automatic. You hire, they get onboarded, they learn stuff, they read the process document, and the beauty about it is your process document is alive in the sense that when someone doesn't understand something in the document, they'll go to you and say, "Hey, what's this? What does this mean?" And then you'll realize, "Oh, this document is not that good at all because these people they're asking me questions about it." When they shouldn't be, because I wrote the process document, or someone in a team leader or manager wrote that process document. It's supposed to automatically onboard people, but now they're asking me questions about things they don't understand in the document. So you're gonna have to evolve these documents. In SEO Hacker, what we do is every 3 months we make sure that documents are revisited, and we have a new hire every 3 months anyway. So it's revisited well, and we improve it and we rewrite it, and so we're able to evolve and make it alive. Um, and there's really no excuse that you don't have a process document. So 100% agree there. One of the other things, so Edwin gave a good perspective there on some of the challenges, but I also have, I remember when I was starting queries and I was the co-founder, I don't code, so I didn't code queries. It's a software as a service company, and what we do is micro surveys, which you can run on any page in your website. Track. There's a lot of integrations that we have inside. Um, so that was a challenge for me because I didn't know how to code, and I also came in as the main investor. So I invested millions with queries when it was starting out. I didn't. So Jan has follow up things to say. SaaS wayward. Okay. I'm doing pitches to investors for a bunch of SaaS. Issue is the multiplication of the same offers, right? So when early on you're doing a lot of investor pitches, that's something I didn't do. I bootstrapped queries first, and I did think about investors and then people coming in to make sure that we have this good pool of funds. But the truth is, if your runway is not enough to for you to take off, it's not there's not much revenue coming in. That's also not a really good sign for investors. But when your revenue is growing and it's just that you invested a lot of capital in it, then a lot of investors would be attracted to your SaaS startup. So I didn't go do pitching for investors. I built it first from MVP all the way to presentable, all the way to recurring revenue already. Before some investors started approaching me about queries. Um, oh, and he says, "Great presentation. Thanks, Jan. Really appreciate you being here." So yeah, that's one major challenge when you're starting a tech company and you're not a technical founder. I wasn't a technical founder. I didn't know 100% what they were doing, and I didn't have my technical founder is not a business guy. He isn't like he isn't the best guy when it comes to knowing what's next. What's the next feature we should be getting? What's the next feature we should be launching? He has no idea about how to do these things, and I'm supposed to be the one always giving the roadmap to him and his team. So that was a challenge for me. So and doing that alongside SEO Hacker was double the challenge, because SEO Hacker is the bigger brother of a company, and it's the one providing for queries, and it's the one funding the entire SaaS project for queries. So I had to focus more on SEO Hacker. It just made a lot of sense. But the roadmap for queries, everything, it was a challenge for me, always being the one to give that. And if I didn't, then it doesn't move. So that's a big challenge for me. Yeah, Patrick, Miguel, thanks for being here and always supporting the show. Really appreciate it. All right. So hope that answers the question. We go to the next question. How can a business keep up with the changing technology trends? All right.
That's a that's an interesting question, actually. I what came to mind, Pam, is is it the changing technology trends like cell phones, or changing technology trends for business operations? Um, I mean, it's interesting. Or is it the changing technology trends in terms of if you're a tech founder and you're going to be outdated soon, in terms of your offers? So
Yeah.
it's a very wide open question, and of course I would want more questions in terms of the context of where you're coming from that question. But
Mhm.
but I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna answer it with the assumption and technology trends in terms of business operations, because as we're on our leadership stack, I'll come from that context. As a business operator, there's always going to be a new shiny business operation solution. And I'm going to reiterate what I said earlier. You really have to know your core as a business and a business operations and what works, right? I'm in the telecommunications business, and there are companies that have been around for 20, 30 years that don't use, technologies like Slack or voice over IP or do that. And you can imagine people who work there, they're like, man, we're such an old business. But these founders or these operators, they're not so much worried about if it's going to help them. Don't get me wrong, if you could get in there and show them that you can implement something quicker, they probably can, but change is difficult as a business operator. Change management, people don't realize, if you're a new entrepreneur, you don't realize how much, when you're ingrained in a process and a system that's already in place and working, there is a saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It is true to business. Like, I've been in business a while now, and you will see some enterprise companies that are still on old Unix business systems, because that are running their whole operations, their billing operations, their back end. So to forklift that and replace that could be multiple $100 million business, and you won't even know if it's going to save you money or increase your not profitability, but your efficiencies. Um, so when it comes to technology trends, you got to really understand, again, your business. Where is your business going, and what technology will enable you to get there, right? So COVID, for example, I'm in the telecommunications business. COVID forced business operators, entrepreneurs, managers to, everyone has to work from home. You know, technology like phones, if you had a business that was still around doing phone call centers, or really operating a business where people need to call in, whether it's a doctor's office or veterinarian. These are a lot of businesses that were affected by it, and that we helped a lot. Call centers, they had to move home, and if they were on a traditional phone system that didn't have this capability, now they're like, oh, I need to do something about this, and I need to do this now. So there was a huge, huge pain that this operator that never really felt a pandemic in their life or a global problem realized, oh, maybe now I understand what they were talking about, cloud businesses, right? But when you're a business operator, if it ain't broke, it ain't fixed. You got to be a little forward facing in terms of where do I foresee my business going? How do I see those trends? But you could as a sales or a marketer, you could try to paint that picture all day, but if your prospective customer or your target audience isn't feeling that pain or just worried about making the next sale. That's why people who go into business, it's nice to be on the sales and marketing side because that pain every entrepreneur needs, right? But then again, there's a billion like SEO agencies. I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm sure Sean knows. There's a lot of
Yeah, for
them, right?
sure.
So that's sort of my answer on the aspects of the changing technology as a business leader, as a business operator. I'm not sure if that Pam, if that actually answered your question though.
Yeah, that's a very good perspective. So I'm going to take it from a different angle because you already gave a fantastic one. So for me, one of the things that since a lot of people tuning in, you're like, I know you're just trying to start a business, or you're there, you're trying to scale up. It could be daunting because we have a lot of new technology, new tools out there, new software, new this, new that, new ways of doing things, and maybe you're scared about things being disrupted over and over again while you're building a business. I'd say the change that a business has to go through should come from the founder or the executive team. And it should come even before the pain is felt. So, with what Edwin mentioned, about the some business owners having to change, having to adapt. Usually when you do that, you felt the pain, and it's too late. You're one of the laggards who are trying to grasp on straws on how to uh, improve everything in your business, and you wouldn't want to be in that position because then you're just trounced by a lot of your competitors during that time already. And I've seen a lot of companies who have come to SEO Hacker during the pandemic, actually, this year. And I am so happy that a lot of them are actually one of the first movers. Like, no one in their industry is doing SEO. Imagine abrasives, right? I mean, who would have thought that abrasives is a big business here in the Philippines? But it is a big business, and this company that has approached me, they're going to be the first ones who's going to do SEO, and it's going to be fantastic because like the competition is not doing it. They're still focused on their traditional methods. They don't believe so much in digital marketing. So with this company taking the risk and rolling the dice with us, we could see that they could easily rank first page for a lot of their keywords. And when that happens, and we know Google and millennials, we're looking in Google. We're no longer asking friends for referrals. We're no longer using yellow pages anymore. So we're so excited about the leads and sales that they're going to be getting. So with those changes, it comes from the entrepreneur, from the founder or the executive team. When you are so focused on growth, when you want to keep on improving, and that's one of the great things about Toyota, right? The Kanban method or continuous improvement. They always are looking for something to improve. While the phrase "if it's not broke, don't fix it" is very, I say I love it because we don't like people going ahead and breaking stuff, but there's also a balance where in this day and age, sometimes you just gotta experiment. You just gotta roll the dice in an educated way, of course. You're not just gonna go ahead and break the process without any plan B. So you gotta have, it's a tough thing. It's a tough job being an entrepreneur. Super. I get it. We get it. And Edwin and I, we've been there, but you have to want to keep on improving things because time, technology, it's not going to wait for you. You just got to try. I've also burned a couple of, more than what I would like to burn in terms of money, cash, just trying out new stuff. But if I didn't do that, then I'm not going to learn. I consider that my tuition fee, and I could cascade everything I've learned to people within my team, which is great. And that helps us to improve everything. So, yeah, hope that answers the question. Next question is from Erica. How can leaders in startup tech companies train their team to improve their marketing strategies? There we go. We're talking about marketing now.
That's a great question, Erica. I'm also keen to hear what Sean says, but I mean, in the point of view of leadership, um, first off, if you're a good leader, you're gonna allow your team and your marketing team to do what they do best. Sort of get out of their way. That's the trust and empowerment of a leader. Having said that, if you're if you're the CMO, I think it's the same thing. You're going to have in the team that's going to do that. So you want to make sure that you empower them and provide them the tools and the techniques or the support that they need, right? I always say that you want to train everyone or provide the training and the tools that they need um, to make them better. You almost, I did head hunting. I did technical recruiting over 10 years ago. And one of the best things I heard at the time was like, you want to train your people to be the best. That people want to headhunt out of your business because they're the best of the best, but you also treat them amazing that they never leave, right? But it's
Yeah,
almost
for
a
sure.
testament to how you are as a business leader, how you empower these people. One trap that a lot of entrepreneurs try to do is they're like, I want to hire the best, right? But how are you going to empower the best? And then you're going to critique them because you don't know how to manage them and how to empower them and how to provide them. Um, but that's more of a leadership strategy than implementation. When it comes to marketing and like anything, I think it's really putting things out there, having a strategy, putting it out there, and checking your data, pivoting, and keeping open, right? Because it's all hypothesis that we're doing when we put it out there. But yeah, I'd love to hear what Sean has to say on this.
Yeah, good stuff. One of the things that the pandemic has allowed me to do, so in the office, I would often go to the glass board in the conference room, and I would sit some of the people down who want to learn marketing, and I would start to teach using the glass board, and we would never have a recording of that. So I'd always need to do that over and over again. But now during the pandemic, and we're doing it via Zoom, allowed to record everything now in Zoom. And what we do is when I train people about marketing and how I think and how we market in SEO Hacker, see our marketing channels in SEO Hacker is not a lot. We're running a couple of YouTube ads, we're running a couple of Facebook ads, more for brand awareness and reach. No ROI. We're not thinking about ROI. It's just brand awareness and reach because we want to be perceived as the number one SEO company here, and we're ranking number one for the keyword SEO Philippines, which is a huge backup to all of the ads that we're running now on YouTube and Facebook. So it's the marketing is really simple. We practice what we preach. We're selling SEO. We should be number one, right? And then everything stems from that. And how I think about our marketing strategy, I sit down on a Zoom call with my people and I relay it to them. We record that and I ask the people producing this podcast to help me edit the video. And then we upload it on our process document software. So we use Waybook, you can use Google Docs, you can use Trello, whatever you want to use for the process documents that you have. It's just that we prefer using Waybook. You can use Monday, whatever comes our way that we believe would be the best way for new people or new hires to just open and watch the video again. It just so happens that right now, Waybook is the easiest for us. I'm not affiliated with them, so I'm not really promoting that, but that's how we do it. Just so I don't need to keep on doing it over again. And when people in my team ask me, "Hey, how do we do our marketing? Hey, how does Rashan think about all of these ideas that we're launching in the marketing strategy?" Then they can watch that video. So it's yeah, that's how I train my team. I think when you're the CEO and founder, you're kind of quirky in the sense that you just want to up and do things when people ask you a question. Just that's why we have this AMA, right? I mean, I like questions. I like answering questions. I'm sure Edwin's the same, and we just have to have it recorded because people are gonna ask you the same questions, and you're gonna lose some people. You're gonna hire some people. That's how business goes. I've lost and hired more than 100 people now in the 11 years that I'm running SEO Hacker. So yeah, hope that helps. Is I think this is a follow up question. No, it's not a follow up question. From your experiences meeting different leaders, what are the qualities all leaders need to have? Wow, big question.
Erica, you're amazing, man. Holy cow. Um, love your questions. Keep it coming. I think I've interviewed almost 200 business leaders on my podcast called the Business Leadership Podcast. Um, Everything from like super exited tech founders. Um, but what I find is that they are visionary in the sense that they know what they want to achieve, um, but they are also humble and empathetic that they don't know everything. So they want to build the super team around them, and they want to have them and treat them like, with respect. And like I said, I used it again a number of times, but he wants to empower them and get them out of the way. Um, but that's what I find real quickly in terms of that is like to get out of your own ego and we all love the title CEO founder. You know, ultimately we're at the bottom and we're trying to raise everyone else up,
Yeah,
right? So
that's right.
you want to ensure that we're there to make everyone successful, and there's no job, no role that we can't do to help them. We at the end of the day, as the founder and the entrepreneur, of course, everything if everyone fails, it comes to you, and you got to do it, right? And that sort of comes with a job description. It may not be written anywhere, but because it's not your people's, after they quit, you can't expect them. You need them to have a life. So that's also the empathy and life balance that you want to give your people. But I think my answer is 100% visionary, empathetic, and humble.
Really good qualities, I might add. I run a lot of pre-pandemic. I do run leadership conferences, and I ask people this question: "What is your idea of a leader?" And then I proceed to write it on a glass board or whiteboard or whatever the hotel has provided me. And some of the most common things that people would say, humility, that it's their empathy, initiative, execution, diligence, integrity. The list goes on. It's an amazing list. That's what I could say. It doesn't run out, right? People expect all of those qualities, right? Kind, takes care of people, thinks about their people, generous, honest. There's just so many qualities of a leader that people look for, and these are people who are team members, they're employees, they're team members, team players. They look for so many things with a leader that it is hard for even me to say what are the qualities all leaders need to have. And if I'm gonna have to say top three, top four, it doesn't encapsulate what kind of leader you and I should be, because people expect you to be all those things. And whenever you and I are not all those things, we're failing as a leader in their eyes. It's that they hold us to very high standards. That's really the job of a leader. And the fact that we are here, Edwin, your people, my people are watching, and they're holding us to an even higher standard because we're answering these questions, right? So it's very tough to be a leader. um if I'm going to choose one, I 100% agree with what Edwin said. Empathy, and humility. If you don't have that, you don't have a beginner's mindset, you have ego involved in every decision, every conversation, it's not going to work. You're not going to be an effective leader. I would just add integrity to the mix. Be a one man person. When how I am here in leadership stack talking to you guys who are tuned in, this is how I am with my team. This is how I talk with them. I'm a one man person who I am at home when I talk with my kids and my wife. I'm a one person man. It's the same way I talk with them. And I treat everyone the same. When you have a private life and a public life, and a different persona at work, it's tough for people to see you as a good leader because you're two faced, and it's hard for people to also trust you, and you're also unpredictable. And when you're unpredictable, that means you're inconsistent. And when you're inconsistent, that means you're not accountable. People can't count on you. So, integrity is one of the biggest things that I think a leader should have. Otherwise, the foundation of people trusting you and allowing themselves to be influenced and led by you, it's not going to happen. So, yeah, I hope that helps.
I love
Um,
I love that one though. The one man. the the one person man. Was that the saying?
Yeah, the one man person. So
I might have to quote you, Sean, on my social media soon.
feel free. So the explanation behind that, Edwin, is when you say integrity, it comes from the root word integer, which means whole or complete. It's not a decimal. And so when you say integrity, it's integer whole. So that's where I got the idea of being a one man person. You're
I
a
love
whole
that.
person. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that.
Cool.
That's amazing, man.
Dude, I'm happy you're getting some value out of last time we talked. It's just me asking the questions.
Amazing.
Yeah. All right. From Mitch, we have a question. Can you tell us the story on how you started your podcasting journey? What has been your most memorable interview so far, and why? Yeah, I'm gonna ask you, Edwin, to go first because I'm gonna have to look at my Spotify list now.
um, yeah, I started almost 5 years ago. My podcast journey called the Business Leadership Podcast. The reason why I started, so my daughter was born, and I was coming into the new year at the time, which was 2017. And like every entrepreneur, you start writing down what happened. What are you going to change for the new year? How are you going to grow? And I came across podcasting, and the people who I interviewed, the people in my network, in my community who had podcasting, I said, "Yo, what what's the best thing about podcasting?" And they told me networking, connecting, um, building out that platform. And I looked at it as a growth hack for my business, because when I looked at my largest customers that I had in my business at the time, they're all word of mouth. But the key was that I needed to find a no. Before I get to that, it's shiny syndrome, right? You're like, oh, podcast. I'm going to do something passionate I'm about, something that I love, like snowboarding or running. And then I'm realizing, well, wait, I started this because I want to find something to help me grow my business. So, I was looking at my portfolio of customers. They all word of mouth, and they were always a change agent in the business. So maybe they were a new executive, or they were the CEO or the manager. So they were learning how to be a better leader. And sometimes when you become a new COO or a new business manager, you want to help the company by saving money. So that's right away you're making money. So one of the benefits of moving to a voice over IP business is that platform is that you save operation costs right away. Um, so that's where the idea came from for me to build the Business Leadership Podcast. And at the time, the only people that were running business leadership podcasts were business coaches or consultants. And I was interviewing business leaders because I'm a business leader, and I was keen to learn how they did that and what were the challenges they had. How did it feel firing your first person? How did it feel firing your friend? What happened when you got acquired by this multinational? How did you communicate that to your team? How did you bring them on? How did you get acquired and then become the CEO of the new company? Like there were crazy questions. Um, so that was where it started from. I would say some of my one of my top interviews was probably like Seth Godin. He's a I'm sure you and your audience know Seth Godin, but I had him for my 50th episode, so that was just a pleasure. I'm a big fan, so having someone like him join my podcast was really great.
That's amazing. I mean, Seth Godin. Wow, dude, how did you do that?
Persistence.
So yeah, I'm a big fan of Seth Godin. Been able to read a lot of his books. Lynchpin was actually one of the books that allowed me to tell myself I have to quit my day job and focus on SEO hacker. So yeah, for me, but I started podcasting 2019 July, and I started it because I wanted to learn how to do a podcast, and I was seeing I've been blogging since 2009, and I was seeing the trend that the written blogs are declining. My blog was about my personal journey as a single Christian guy, all the way to when I was courting my first girlfriend, now my wife, and when we got married. and then all of the things in between, like my convictions, thoughts in my head, I would blog about it. And I was getting like 1,000, 2,000 readers a day during that time, which was fantastic. And I was seeing the decline. It declined all the way to like 500 a day. Right now, I'm getting like 300 a day, 400 a day, and that's it. And that's from Google organic search. And I saw it, and I didn't think that it was just about the searches. Not get there's a lot of blogs that came up, so they were also ranking for some of the keywords that I was ranking for, and I was doing SEO full time. I wasn't focusing on this blog because it's just a personal blog. I mean, it's not about business, it's not my business as well. So I didn't focus on that, but I could see that the comments were also declining. Like, people would not comment anymore the way they used to. I used to get a lot of comments in some of my blogs, but now it's almost zero. So I saw that decline, and I was looking for another channel to port that to. And I'm actually very late to the game because podcasting has been out since, I don't know, 2010. I think there were podcasters already snowballing in podcast land, and I wasn't doing anything about it. So when I started 2019, this was pre-pandemic. So I wasn't one of the people who started a podcast because of the pandemic. I started pre-pandemic. I learned that it is very, very hard to build an audience in podcast land. So right now on Spotify, we have like 3,100 followers. Thank you guys so much for that. I really appreciate your following the podcast on Spotify. It is super difficult to build a following on Spotify, to build listeners on Spotify. But I also find that people who listen in, they're quality people. I mean, they're people genuinely wanting to learn. They want to engage. They chat me on Discord, send me a personal message. They chat me on Instagram, on Facebook. I even closed some deals already. Can you believe it? Right from Leadership Stack Podcast, they got my SEO services, and we're about to close another one. It's crazy, but that is how I started. My most memorable interview, I'm always gonna say the latest one. So right now it's Jason Ho. We have it, episode 243 on Spotify. How to identify your key strengths. I really enjoyed this one because I'm also figuring out for myself my some of my weaknesses. One of my weaknesses is when I speak, sometimes I turn people off because I come out as too dominating. I say things that hurt people. I'm too truthful, not a lot of grace in my words, and some people don't accept that. Right, for them it's painful. So I was asking Jason, what's wrong with me? How come people get turned off when I speak? And in that episode, he was able to clarify to me that here are your strengths, and you're actually, you're part of the 2% of the world. You're very uncommon. You're actually very rare kind of personality. It's actually, yeah. So I got a lot of clarity in that episode, which is super exciting for you guys because you will also be able to realize some of your strengths, how to use it properly. And yeah, you could get in touch with him as well. He has his own website. So I really enjoyed that one. As much as I enjoyed all of my past recordings and interviews, as much as I enjoyed listening to Edwin's answers, and a lot, I threw a lot of questions to you, dude. I remember, and I really enjoyed that one. Please also tune into that one. You will be able to learn a lot, especially the questions we're getting right now are all about tech startup. Slingshot VoIP Edwin's business is a through and through tech startup, and how he was able to build it is an amazing journey, and you'll be able to learn it when you tune in to that episode. um yeah, how do you plan on your content as a podcaster?
Um, Real quickly, my podcast, I planned it around um, amazing conversations when I initially launched. So, and it was very intentional when I launched. I was looking to get to the big tech founders here in Toronto, Canada, and the U.S. Um, because it was a very specific business leadership. So business leadership genre is a very big space. But if you look at the people I interviewed, you could see there's some intention behind it. That most of the companies they were in are tech businesses, and if it wasn't a tech business, it was a tech role, um, or very specific. So that was my intention how I created that. I've done many other podcasts now. When I get inspired, I did one on Spotify in December after we spoke, Sean, and it's called 20. And I was experimenting in my creativity on doing mini series, and I wanted to say, how could I do a small podcast that is bingeable? How do I do something that create 5 episodes, and someone who listens to episode one will listen to it all?
Yeah.
And the feedback I had was like, Edwin, that was great. I listened to it all. I was like, whoa, it's
Yeah.
amazing. I was inspired by people, like in the NPR spaces, and they do all that type of stuff and how they produce that. And that's sort of me dabbling in my creative side. But it was a very specific topic on 20 because it was COVID. I wanted to share the 5 things I learned in 2020. And most people, I'm sure, Sean, you've seen this, where people at the end of the year, they'll write a blog and they'll write this, or they'll do an Instagram story and they'll do this. So what I did is I'm gonna do a 5 episode mini series of the top 5 things I learned on 2020. They were about 5-10 minute episodes, but the people who it was a soft launch. It was a more like, I didn't like this is what I'm gonna do. Like, I literally did it over a weekend. I was so inspired. I used Anchor. I made nice music, nice transitions. I geeked out. I allowed myself to geek out on the downtime of the holidays, and that's how I planned that. So a little bit where I'm going with my podcast is now sharing more about my intentions as a business leader, my ecosystem. One thing that I'm going to be launching is my community, which I call it the 100x.life. So 100x life. But yeah, that's how I plan my stuff. It's stuff that inspires me.
Amazing answer, dude. That's really, really good. I wish I could say the same for me and Leadership Stack, but how we plan our content is we get a lot of people contacting us for guesting. So LinkedIn, email. I don't even know how they get in touch with us. I don't even know how they find out about the podcast, but we got a lot of people wanting to guest on the podcast, and we just weed them out. We figure out who the best ones are, and we schedule them, and also we figure out which ones would be able to work on my time, because I'm also a very busy person, especially now when digital marketing is catching up. It's catching up here in we're very late here in the Philippines, so now it's catching up surprisingly, or unsurprisingly, because of the pandemic last year's effect. um, and we're just trying to schedule the best ones for me to be able to interview. Then when the day and time is set, I proceed to research about the person, and then I proceed to write questions, and then brief the person, the guest, on how the show goes. We also do the AMAs, the Leadership Stack Lives, like this episode, and this is going to be turned into an episode on Spotify and YouTube as well, because of the content that we're able to produce with your help and questions. So this episode is gonna be there someday. I don't know, 2-3 months from now. You're gonna see Edwin again on, recorded on YouTube and Spotify. That is how we do it. So there's not as much thought, effort, and preparation as Edwin does for his podcast, and I'm sure his podcast has a lot of beautiful episodes that you'll learn a lot from, because of Seth Godin. Who doesn't want to hear Seth Godin, right? I got to hear that, brother. And yeah, with the podcasts that we do, we also want to make sure that it's also bite-sized, like what Edwin did. By the way, that's the best way to do a podcast or a piece of content, whether it's written, it's a video, or it's a podcast. When you're inspired, don't let that inspiration go. When you're inspired, grab that moment and produce. That's the best stuff you're going to be able to produce out there. So 100% agree with you there, brother. Mitch says, love the answers. Thank you so much. Hey, thanks for asking those questions, Michelle. So we do have a couple of questions more. We do, like, I don't know, 5-6 more questions, but unfortunately, guys, that is all the time we have. And Edwin is also a busy guy. I have to spend
I'm in the
time at
Discord
home.
too, though, Sean. I'm in your Discord, so
Yeah.
I'm there, you guys. I'm happy to connect and answer the other questions. I just have my little one here. It's 9 a.m. in Toronto, and we gotta go.
Yeah,
Are,
you gotta
you
go to
guys
school,
you
dude.
guys are you guys are ahead of us. You know, you're time traveling, so I still have Thursday to live.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Hey, brother, thank you so much for being here. We learned a ton from you,
Sean, I
and
love being
really
here.
good stuff.
I love being in your space, man. So thank you for the opportunity, and for sure we'll do more collaborations. As my platform grows, my 100x Life platform, I'm gonna definitely have you in to help people change their thoughts on 100xing their business by up leveling their SEO game for sure.
Yeah, let me know. Hit me up, and I'll be there. I'll help you out. No worries. 100x.life. That is the
The
URL.
the 100x dot life.
The 100x.life. I'm gonna go ahead
Yeah,
and check it out later. Why
it's
don't you
on
guys do
it's
that
a
as well?
holder there, but yeah, drop it in your email. It's launching. The official launch is going to be September 22nd, but I'll probably do a soft launch before that.
Awesome, awesome. So you're collecting the email list there already.
It's there. I'm talking about it now.
Perfect. Awesome.
Uh,
All right, dude. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. All right, guys. It is Leadership Stack Live. We do this 8 p.m. every Thursday night. And right now, I'm just going to show you what we got on Spotify. What I mentioned earlier, Jason Ho. You might want to tune in on that. How to identify your key strengths. If you haven't tuned in recently to the podcast on Spotify, we published 3 episodes this week so far. I think we're going to be publishing another one tomorrow. You might want to check that out. We did publish the episode with my wife. This is another one of my favorite episodes, effectively managing millennial and Gen Z teams. SEO Hacker is 100% millennial and Gen Z team. Everyone in my team is younger than I am, and I'm 32. I'm a millennial, so you can imagine we're very young, we're very dynamic, very talented team. This is how we handle 50 of those millennials and Gen Zs. We also have the last episode with Sensei Gillian, how to build multiple income streams. So for those of you who are trying to figure out how can I not rely just on one business? How can I not just rely on this one day job that I have? That this episode might it's just 14 minutes. This episode might open your eyes and show you different perspectives on how you can increase your your income streams to become a multiple channel. And then we have an 11-minute episode again with my wife Apple, how to build a dream team. So before we have our team now in SEO Hacker, I had like 3 or 4 generations of different teams in SEO Hacker. And I thought that my first team was a dream team, turned into a nightmare. My second one, I thought it was a dream team, turned into a nightmare. So how were we able to finally build a dream team that is giving SEO Hacker the success it's experiencing right now? Tune into that episode 240. And if you're wondering, if you're thinking I'm not so visual, I'm not so audible, Sean. I don't like listening via audio. I'm a little bit more visual. We do have our YouTube channel, so if you want to check our stuff via video, you could tune in here. Right now, this is us doing it live. But yeah, every episode we have on Spotify has a video counterpart, and it is on YouTube. Just go to leadme.ph/YouTube or search for Leadership Stack on YouTube. You will be able to find us. So it's like over 200 episodes with the raw live recordings there. So this is going to be a raw live recording there as well. This is all of the videos there are well edited by our producer Lara, and all you got to do is tune in. We have the Grow and Balance Your Life webinar as well. Um, if you are someone who wants to learn this year, know how it is to grow yourself personally, um, maybe you're figuring out, how do I learn a new skill, how do I become better in my craft, how do I become a better person, a father, become a better father, become a better son, become a better colleague. We have this webinar happening this Saturday, actually, the Grow and Balance Your Life webinar. How much is the investment? It is 950. And I do believe that the best investment you can make is an investment in yourself, even better than stocks, even better than real estate. Because what you learn by yourself, you take that with you for life, and that is going to produce so much more in terms of revenue for you. So join us this August 14th. This is going to be 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Everything that you're about to learn is written down here. You could go to leadme.ph/grow balance. The link is down there on the show, right there below on the footer of the show. So please do visit that, share it with a friend, family. We're also running a digital contest, um, to give away 10 tickets for this one. If you're part of my email list, you probably got that email already, or if you're part of the Discord channel, you would know how to join that contest. With that, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, this is Sean, and I will see you next